Alright, what's going on YouTube? D-Lux here with another video. This one, I quite literally just finished Dying Light 2 on Thursday, and I'm just at this point to where I don't know if how to respond to the thoughts that are in my head about the game. Because I'm being asked by a couple people whether or not the game is good, and I don't know how to respond, because gameplay wise I think it's pretty good. It's, upgrade from the first one. The parkour is fantastic, the combat is fun, and the story is pretty decent, but there are small things in it that kinda, at least in my opinion, they kinda make me want to say it is bad, but it's not. But it's not. That's the thing. It's not bad, because I think what bugs me about it and makes it bad for me isn't like the general consensus for everybody that plays it. But I wanted to make this to hopefully at least put my thoughts out there, because there's got to be at least one person that's on board. Like, there has to be. I can't be the only one. So yeah, like I said, gameplay wise, the parkour super fun. A little buggy, but I know on Steam the developers put out like a little community update saying that they are patching some things, so I'm sure those bugs will get fixed. Like, climbing on certain objects and elements are a little dodgy. Like, you'll go to climb and you might grab it, you might get stuck. It's kind of 50-50 at that point, but it's alright. Nothing to really gripe and grime over. But the things that get me were actually based around the quests. So me personally, in RPGs, I like to kind of do the story quest and side quest in tandem. So like, I'll get on, I want to progress the story a little bit today, so I'll do, a couple story quests, and it's like, oh, okay, let's take a break on the story and go do, clean up on side quest. Because I like to as far as completion as goes in getting everything, I'd like to do at least the side quest I've picked up as I'm going through the story. But there are certain story quests and story missions excuse me, throat's a little dry, that once you complete them, it seems like it completely like wipes certain quests away, and I don't know why. And there's no warning for it. They don't tell you, hey, on like the side quest, once you complete, let's say you have a story mission up, it's like, once you complete this story mission, these side quests will no longer be active, so you don't get the rewards, you can't progress them or anything like that. So that happened a few times for me, and that was one thing that kind of bugged me, where I would consider that to be like a check in the bad category, that there's no warning or anything like that for, hey, past this point these quests become unavailable, yada yada yada. So that's one there. And then they introduced like a decision aspect to Dying Light, which wasn't in the first one, which both games were great, and I liked the fact that they had decisions, but some of the decisions, like, they weren't really, how do I put this? They didn't give you like incentive to really pick a side, and it seemed like one side was forced way more than the other. And I'll say it now, spoilers ahead. So if you haven't finished it, or I'll say if you haven't gotten to the central loop and you haven't done the radio tower. Just spoilers ahead for those that don't want anything ruined. So in the first area of Old Villanor, you have the water tower, and that, going through the whole area of Old Villanor, it seems like it's very survivor sided, unless this side quest that I probably didn't get a chance to do because they disappeared, or it just wasn't really a good argument for. There wasn't really any reason to give it to the Peacekeepers, which is kind of weird because in most decision games, it seems like they try to play and push both sides on the player to actually put them in like some sort of conundrum and make them actually see which side they align with more. But it just seemed like, all right, Old Villanor, you spend most of your time at the bazaar talking to the other survivors, getting to know them. They're introducing characters on that side. And then you go do through a couple of the main missions, and they introduce you to the Peacekeepers because, you need to talk to them to get through to the next area to help progress the overall story of the game. But then that kind of just comes to an abrupt halt after a decision, I think, with Sophie and Benny. And up to that point, there was just no interaction with the Peacekeepers except for a few radio messages here and there, like, oh, hey, Aiden, don't forget about the thing we told you to do. It's like, yeah, like, I'm fucking working on it. Like, what do you want from me? But, like, that's it. Like, there's no, like, rapport building with them, really. And it just kind of made it obvious that, oh, I'm going to give this water tower to the survivors. And then that happens, and then you go through, everything goes to shit. You get through, the central loop. You get to the next area, the central loop, which is the whole big downtown area. And then first thing in there, you're basically forced into working with the Peacekeepers because you get in and like, oh, you got to turn on this power station. You're talking to a couple of guys that walk up and they're Peacekeepers, and they're like, oh, hey, help us turn this on. And then some baddies show up, you fight them together, and they cracking jokes, cracking wise, and it's like, oh, cool. So then that area now becomes focused on the Peacekeepers, because it seems like the Peacekeepers and survivors in that area are kind of like, they kind of go hand in hand, like there's no real divide. And then they help you through, you work with the Peacekeepers all the way up until it comes time to activate the VNC tower, the big building in the middle of the city, which brings radio communication to the city. And you go through that whole setup of that with the Peacekeepers, no problem or anything. One of the decisions to side with Juan, and that again didn't really like 2 missions prior to that decision, you just met the guy and he was kind of a dick the whole time. And then after that, it's like, oh yeah, side with me instead. And it's like, why? Like, there's no reason for me to side with you right now. Like, you're not really giving me, I have no connection. This character was just introduced. And if you don't do any side quests in between main missions, and you're just like steamrolling through the main story, it's literally like 2 missions before, and then he's like, oh yeah, pick me. Why? I just met you. Like, quite literally like 10 minutes ago. In game, probably a few hours, but either way, one conversation doesn't mean anything. But then, so there's that one. And then you go through all that. I kept going with the Peacekeepers on. I was like, no, fuck you, Juan. You're weird. You're kind of a dick. Whatever. And so we go through with going up the tower to turn it on. And Frank's talking to you in your ear like, oh, hey, Night Runners tried this and they fucked up. I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. And, you keep pushing through and you get to the top. So you get to the very top and you go to activate it, and this is like one of the big screen shaking and altering decisions of the game. And it's like, oh, who are you going to give the radio tower to? And it's like, okay, I've been working with the Peacekeepers this whole time. They basically pled their case for the entirety of the setup, the reason why we're doing it. And then the cutscene before the decision pops up. Frank calls you on the radio. Oh, by the way, he's like, oh, hey, I can't believe, you made it to the top and all this, that, and the other thing is like, the reason we were doing it is because I wanted to start a radio station. Like, bro, what? It's like, okay, that's a good, cool thing for you guys to do. It's a good reason to do it. That doesn't plead the case for why I should give it to the survivors. And then come to find out later that he could have used it to warn all the survivors in the area of the missile attack that comes in. But instead he goes out and gets murked by a bunch of missiles and fucking dies. And a whole bunch of people died. And that I know that affected the ending I got, because I ended up having to sacrifice Lawan. And then it's just... And then that, at the end, Lawan has the bombs, and it's like, oh, either save the city or save Lawan. And it's like, why can't I save Lawan? Like, saving Lawan should have been the quest before the decision. Like, go save Lawan and then sacrifice yourself or something like that. But no, I feel I didn't pick that one. I chose to sacrifice Lawan for the city because that was just kind of the vibe I got from the conversation beforehand, and it just didn't make any sense, I guess. And like, that's the kind of big thing that is why I would say it's bad, in that the decisions and the storytelling around the two factions weren't convincing enough to really make it okay, like, you really have to pick like an alignment. And it wasn't that. It was just random things, and then it's usually like a quick sentence beforehand, like, oh, hey, this is why I want it. Okay, like a radio station, come on, you could have said, yeah, I wanted to start a radio station and have a way to communicate with any other survivors around the city, and it'd be easier to do that than running around to each one. I probably would have given it to them if knowing that, like, oh, that'll be handy, not the Peacekeepers to spread propaganda. And all their message was, hey, join the Peacekeepers if you want to, if you want to help fight chaos. And then the head honcho of them, Jack, was like, oh, I'm trying to write a new message for the Herald to say over the speaker. And it's like, yeah, so we go with this, that. It's like, oh, target the doves, so kind of like the non-aggressive people, more so like just common survivors. And it's like, oh, like, doesn't matter your religious background or your upbringing, anything like that, just you're welcome here, like, none of that matters, like, you're still people, whatever. So I was like, oh yeah, that's a good message to spread. Like, you're not forcing him, you're just saying, hey, come join us, like, this and doesn't matter, we just want basically bodies. So that was the kind of thing that rubbed me the wrong way. And then the cherry on top, I would say, was that there is no new game plus. There is no new game plus. So I sat there for, I'm gonna check it right now on Steam. How much playtime? For 34, we'll round up, 35 hours playing this game, doing side quests, getting all this gear, and there's no new game plus. Why? What was the point of doing all that for me to want to go back and make different decisions and do things differently, maybe clean up side quests more, then once I do all those, then go through the story, since I know they're going to disappear? why is there no new game plus at launch? Because when you beat it, you can go to continue, and it'll bring you back in like, oh hey, you completed the main story. Some of your story choices have been reverted, so you can freely run around the city and complete anything you haven't finished yet. Yada yada yada. And then they're like, oh, it's now the game will start scaling with your level, and the gear you find will start scaling as well. And it's like, okay, that should have been happening the entire time I've been playing, because I think the final mission was like a level 5 mission, and the highest enemy was that I fought maybe 2 of throughout the entirety of that mission was at my level, which was 7. And I found a level 9 sword, and I was basically just one-shotting everything. So like, it should have been scaling the whole time. And if you didn't want to scale it the whole time, that's the perfect chance for New Game Plus to scale it, since you already have the system in there. Give us the continuation, so you can continue on your current save, and also still give the option for New Game Plus. Like, go to load game and then press whatever button for New Game Plus using this data, so that all those abilities and skills that you have carry over to a fresh save, a fresh story. You can go through that, continue to level your character, get stronger, find better stuff, do the side quests to get better rewards, because all that will scale automatically in that new file. But no, it doesn't. So I'm just like stuck on whether or not I can say the game is good or bad, because going through it, it was good gameplay wise. Like I said, everything was smooth, couple bugs, that's expected. Nothing's perfect on the first go. It's whatever. But after beating it, I was like, is this good? Like, it was that good? Like, I actually was questioning my own thought on it. I was like, is this good? I was like, is this really this? Like, or is it bad? I was like, it's not bad, but it's not good. It's just like this weird middle area to where I can't make a decision on when someone asks, like, oh, is that game lit? Is it fire? Is it good? Like, how was it? I'm just like, I don't know. I honestly don't know. But yeah, that's my just thought on that. I had fun playing it. All I can really say is give it a shot yourself. That's the only recommendation I can really give you, is try it out yourself. See what you think. See if you are playing it currently, push through it. Do you take it at your own pace? No rush, nothing like that. But just, I don't know. I just don't know. But hey, we're all entitled to our own opinions. Nothing's perfect. All that is just, it's all part of it. It's all part of playing games, But that'll do it for me. Feel free to let me know down in the comments below what your thoughts on it are. If you agree, disagree, let's have a conversation, not an argument, and let's just talk about it. Let's see just what the general consensus is on this. And I look forward to hearing from you guys and seeing what you have to say, what points you bring up. And yeah, that's it. Be sure to follow me on Twitch if you wouldn't mind. Twitch.tv/D-Lux26. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the video. And be sure to ring the bell after subscribing so you get notified when I post new videos. Right now, I don't really have like an upload schedule. It's kind of just as things come to mind like this. It just happened to be something I played recently, I had an opinion on, and I wanted to share it. And that's kind of where I'm at with videos. Also just kind of due to work, things like that. But hey, it is what it is. It's all part of life. It's all part of the fun. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Adios.